President Trump had a conference call over the weekend with the commissioners of all the major sports leagues in America. He even allowed Vince McMahon to join the call, even though the WWE is entertainment and not a sport. The president said that he wanted to see fans back in arenas by August. But the good news is the NFL regular season, as of this time, would not be affected by the coronavirus. The NFL will start the season at the normal time, the Thursday after Labor Day, which is great. I'm glad to hear that. However, the NFL offseason is going to be a different story. I don't think teams are going to be allowed to have their usual mini camps in May. Who knows what training camp is going to look like in July? I would think by that point, we would be past the whole coronavirus thing, and teams could begin training camp as they normally do, as scheduled. But there is no doubt that the NFL offseason is going to be compressed this year. It is not going to be a normal offseason in the NFL. Last month, the league postponed offseason training activities indefinitely. No return date has been set. This could and likely will have a huge impact on some teams throughout the league, especially teams with new head coaches. I mean, think about a team like the Carolina Panthers. Carolina's got a rookie head coach, Matt Rule. He's got 1 year of NFL coaching experience. He was an assistant offensive line coach with the New York Giants back in 2012. So he is 100% inexperienced. This is a completely new territory for him. He's not going to have time to implement his system. How is he supposed to build a culture in the locker room when he can't even meet with the team? This type of stuff is done during all-season workouts, mini camp, training camp. By the time that you get to the regular season, it's too late. Not only does Carolina have a new head coach, they've got a new quarterback. This would be the one time when it would be beneficial if Cam Newton was the starter. But the Panthers released him, went out and picked up Teddy Bridgewater. New quarterback, new offensive system, new head coach. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be playing with a brand new set of receivers. He's not going to have the benefit of working out timing issues, getting used to the guys around him, building chemistry with his offensive line. The one positive for Teddy Bridgewater with this truncated offseason is he has Joe Brady with him in Carolina. He spent a year with Joe Brady while he was in New Orleans, so they know each other well. The problem, though, is Brady's offensive system is heavily reliant on timing, much like it was in New Orleans. He learned from Sean Payton. The Saints' offense is all about timing. Talk to any defensive coordinator, and they all say the same thing when they are preparing for the Saints. We've got to get them off their timing. I think it's going to be tough for the Carolina Panthers with this suspended offseason. You've got a lot of new parts and no time really for everyone to get acclimated. They're going to spend the first half of the regular season getting into a rhythm that they would have got into in the offseason and the preseason. By the time the Panthers develop some chemistry and some rhythm, the season could be lost. The shortened offseason is going to impact rookie quarterbacks as well. Being a rookie in the NFL is already difficult. Think about a guy like Joe Burrow. You're the number one draft pick, presumably. Expectations are high. The pressure is all on you to revive the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is going to be walking blind into his first season in the NFL. No minicamp, no all-season workouts, no time to get acclimated. It's already hard enough for a rookie quarterback to step in and become the leader of his new team. Now guys like Joe Burrow are going to have to do that without spending 3-4 months building relationship with their teammates. Baker Mayfield, another young quarterback that's going to be affected. Now, I've been highly critical of Baker Mayfield on this podcast, mostly because he can't keep his mouth shut. But the reality of it is, He's playing for his fourth head coach and third offensive coordinator in just 3 years. That is extremely difficult for a veteran quarterback to do, much less a guy entering into his third season. 2020 is a critical year for Baker Mayfield. This is a make or break season. Kevin Stefanski brought in Case Keenum. Don't think for a second that Case Keenum is in Cleveland to mentor Baker Mayfield. That's part of it. But the reason Stefanski brought in Keenum is because if Baker Mayfield struggles, if the Browns get off to another slow start, a quarterback change will happen. Stefanski and Case Keenum worked together in Minnesota when they made it to the NFC Championship game. They've got history together. So this is a make or break season for Baker Mayfield, and he's going to go into it without a full offseason. Limited amount of time to learn Kevin Stefanski's system. The good news for Baker Mayfield, because of the coronavirus, he won't be off filming 100 commercials this offseason. So maybe he'll use this time to open a fucking playbook. The truncated offseason isn't only going to hurt young quarterbacks. It will impact some veteran quarterbacks as well. Think about Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers. Both of these guys moving to new teams. I don't think it'll impact them as hard as it will the younger guys, but it's still going to be tough on them. Both Brady and Rivers are used to a routine. That routine was broken up once they changed teams, but it will be worse with no offseason workouts to get used to their new team. They got to get used to new personnel, new coaching. Tom Brady's got to get to know Bruce Arians and his style, and vice versa. All teams will be affected by the shorter offseason, but I think some teams will be okay. A team like New Orleans, where you've had the bulk of the roster together for some time now. The majority of the offense and defense have been together for a while. Drew Brees and Michael Thomas are used to each other. Peyton and Brees have been together 14, 15 years. Same with the Chiefs. Same with the Packers. What about the Dallas Cowboys? I didn't even think about the Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's coming in, implementing a new system. It's going to be interesting to see how NFL teams look once this regular season begins. Usually the first 3-4 weeks of the NFL regular season is kind of like a preseason where the games count. Teams are working out their kinks. Offenses haven't developed a rhythm. They're working on it. But without offseason workouts, minicamp, possibly a shortened training camp and preseason, it's going to be interesting to see how the NFL looks come September. All right, moving on. I don't talk much about the NFL draft on this podcast. It's not something that I really get into every year, but I want to talk about Tua Tagovailoa for a second. I briefly mentioned him a couple of times the past couple of weeks when we've briefly mentioned the NFL draft, mainly talking about Joe Burrow. I don't understand the media's obsession with Tua. I never have. Most people in the media have Tua as the second best quarterback in this draft class, which I think is ridiculous. And it's not because of his hip injury either. He's had plenty of time to heal. By the time training camp begins in the NFL, Tua's hip injury should be a non-factor. I was never impressed with Tua throughout his time at Alabama. It's tough to judge a college quarterback and how they will translate into the NFL. There are so many meaningless fluff games on the schedule. Stats tend to become inflated. It's hard to tell if a college quarterback has what it takes to make it at the NFL level. One of the big things that I remember about Tua's time in Alabama is him choking in the 2019 National Championship game. First drive of the game, after the Bama defense held Clemson to a 3-and-out, Tua throws a pick six. Then in the second quarter, Clemson's up 5 points. Tua throws another interception that gives Trevor Lawrence a short field. Next thing you know, Clemson's up 12. The game ends up being a blowout, but the Alabama offense never gained a rhythm because of the early turnovers by Tua. He had thrown just 6 interceptions all season up to that point. He had 2 in the most important game of the year, once he was playing against real competition. But KC, he was great the year before in the national championship when he replaced Jalen Hurts. Well, that's true. But he caught the Georgia defense off guard. It's difficult for a defense who had prepared for 2 weeks to defend against Jalen Hurts to make adjustments mid-game to defend against a quarterback that they had no tape on. He had barely played at that point. He and Jalen Hurts have completely different styles. Georgia went from defending a mobile quarterback to defending more of a pocket passer. Tua was surrounded by NFL talent at Alabama. So it's really difficult to judge how good he actually is. Now, I know he'll be surrounded by NFL talent at the NFL level. No shit. But at Alabama, he wasn't playing against NFL caliber defenses. You look at most of your highly successful quarterbacks in the NFL. They didn't come from college football powerhouses. They didn't come from your Oklahomas, your Alabamas, USC. Your successful NFL quarterbacks played for teams in college that weren't looked at as big-name programs, and they made them into great teams. Drew Brees took Purdue to the Rose Bowl. Aaron Rodgers won 10 games at Cal in 2004. You know how many times that Cal has won 10 games since Aaron Rodgers? Once. Big Ben led Miami of Ohio to their only 13-win season in school history. You know how many double-digit win seasons they had since 2003? One. Matt Ryan went to Boston College. Jared Goff, Cal. Look at the two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl last year. Pat Mahomes, Texas Tech. Jimmy G, Eastern Illinois. The list goes on and on. The majority of your successful NFL quarterbacks weren't playing with NFL talent at the college level. Now, Alabama fans and Tua apologists will argue that he was the best quarterback in the country in college. In 2018, he set an NCAA quarterback rating record at 199.4. You know who held the previous record? Baker Mayfield. How is his NFL career working out? I don't think Tua is going to be a top 10 draft pick. I could see him falling in the late first round, maybe even into the second round. I'd take Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love over Tua. Now, I'm not saying that he won't have success at the NFL level. He might surprise me. But he's going to need to land in the perfect situation for that to happen. I don't see Tua as a guy that can go to a team like the Cincinnati Bengals or the Miami Dolphins and turn that franchise around. Now, I think he would be a perfect fit with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Nick Saban's coaching style is very similar to Bill Belichick. So, I don't think it would be that big of an adjustment going from playing under Saban to playing for Bill Belichick. Now, although the media is in love with Tua, it seems that NFL scouts aren't as high on him. He didn't have a great showing at the NFL Combine. He didn't interview well, wasn't impressive during meetings. I think another knock on Tua is where he played in college. More specifically, who he played for. Nick Saban has never developed a quarterback into an NFL-level star. The most successful quarterback he's ever had at the NFL level is A.J. McCarron, a career backup. Alabama hasn't had a quarterback that made it at the NFL level since Joe Namath. I was 15 years from being born when Joe Namath won the Super Bowl. And I guess you could put Kenny Stabler in there as well. But my point is, it's been a long time since a quarterback from Alabama has made it at the NFL level. I think Tua is going to be in for a rude awakening come draft day. I'm dead serious. It wouldn't surprise me if he dropped to the second round. If the reports are true, and he's the fourth quarterback on most draft boards, if New England doesn't draft him at number 23, he's going to fall to the second round. The Dolphins are going to go after Justin Herbert. Anthony Lynn and the Chargers are really high on Jordan Love. Now, I know you got Jacksonville in the number 9 spot, but Doug Marrone is on thin ice. He's coaching for his job in 2020. I think that the Jags are going to go after Cam Newton or Jameis Winston once the draft is finished. All right, let's get to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was interviewed by Pat McAfee, and he was asked if he is considering playing football into his 40s. He's 36 years old right now. He's got 4 years left on his contract. He'll be 40 once the contract ends. And here's what Aaron Rodgers had to say. He answered, "How do you not? I'm not some cliche guy that's going to talk about taking it year by year. Of course, you look at what Tom's doing and still able to play at his age and play at a high level. And obviously what Drew has done and Phil getting an opportunity to keep rolling in Indy. My thing is, legacy is really important. Having an opportunity to do it all in Green Bay would mean a lot to me. I understand the track record of our squad. There's been times where we've had veteran players and they finished elsewhere. I get it. I'd like to make that decision easy for them. The only way to do that is to keep playing at a high level and give them no choice but to keep bringing you back because you're the best option and give them the best chance to win. That's my goal. I've got 4 years left on my deal. I'd like to play 4 at a really, really high level. And if I feel like keeping on from that point, to do it. I feel confident right now. I'm going to be 40 when the deal ends. I feel like I can keep going after that the way things have been going." Couple of things. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers playing past the age of 40. The difference between Aaron Rodgers and guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees is they're still playing at a high level. Rodgers even alluded to that fact in his statement. The truth is, the last 3 years haven't been good for Aaron Rodgers. I know that the Packers went to the NFC Championship game last season, but let's just be honest. They were the worst 13-3 team in the history of the NFL. They were not good. That was not a good football team. I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was good last year. He really hasn't had a great season since 2016 when he threw for 40 touchdowns. His completion percentage has dropped each of the last 3 years. He had that injury that ended his 2017 season early. 2018, he was god-awful. Quarterback rating, been on the decline the last 2 or 3 years. Honestly, Aaron Rodgers is just not the same quarterback that he used to be. Now, I happen to agree with him with wanting to finish his career in Green Bay. I do think that's important to a Hall of Fame quarterback's legacy. That's why Drew Brees has always stated that he won't play anywhere else besides New Orleans. When a player becomes a legend somewhere, it's just not the same when they put on another jersey. When Brett Favre left Green Bay, it just wasn't the same. It didn't feel right seeing him in a Jets uniform or a Vikings uniform. Especially Minnesota, since they're a big rival of the Packers. Same with Peyton Manning. Even though he won a Super Bowl in Denver, when you think of Peyton Manning, you think of the Indianapolis Colts. When you think of Michael Jordan, do you think of the Washington Wizards? No, you think of the fucking Chicago Bulls. I understand why Tom Brady wanted out of New England. But it doesn't matter what he accomplishes in Tampa Bay. He could win a Super Bowl in Tampa. But as far as his legacy is concerned, he will always belong to the New England Patriots. I think that's going to be the one major blemish for LeBron James and his legacy. When we think of these legendary players, we automatically associate them with a team. Kobe, Lakers. Paul Pierce, Celtics. What team can we associate with LeBron? He spent more time in Cleveland than anywhere else, but he had more success in Miami. Will he be associated with the Lakers? No, I doubt it. He came to LA too late in his career, and I don't think he's going to win a title with the Lakers. Aaron Rodgers is 100% correct. When you're a legendary player, I think it's important to stay with your team. Now, whether or not that happens with him remains to be seen, because if he continues to play at the level he's played at the last 2 or 3 years, I don't know if he will have a choice. The Packers have plenty of time between now and 2023, when Rodgers' contract expires, to draft a quarterback. And they have done this in the past. They have pushed a legendary quarterback out. Aaron Rodgers could end up just like Brett Favre, pushed out by the quarterback of the future in Green Bay. While we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, I might as well bring this up before I get out of here. The NFL released their all-decade team for the 2010s. Now, if you remember, when the NFL did their NFL 100 all-time list last season, they left off Drew Brees when they were ranking quarterbacks. And now, they have found a way to leave off Drew Brees again. They selected 2 quarterbacks for the all-decade team. Tom Brady, obviously, number 1. But the fucking committee selected Aaron Rodgers at number 2. I just find it unbelievable how the NFL continues to overlook Drew Brees when they come up with these lists honoring elite players. Since 2010, Drew Brees has led the NFL in completion percentage 5 times. He's led the league in passing yards 5 times. Led the league in completions 4 times. Led the league in touchdowns twice. Made the Pro Bowl 9 out of 10 years. Aaron Rodgers led the league in touchdowns in 2016. Made 7 Pro Bowls. And that's it. I'm not trying to downplay Aaron Rodgers' accomplishments or his career, but it is clearly that Drew Brees had the better 2010s. He had the better decade. Maybe they selected Aaron Rodgers over Brees because he won his one and only Super Bowl in 2010. But that can be the only reason. Because if you looked at the last 10 years, Drew Brees is clearly the better quarterback. There are a lot of Saints fans who believe that Roger Goodell and the league office have a vendetta against the Saints. Now, this belief started with the Bountygate scandal. It was amplified by the non-pass interference call in the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago. And then they just add fuel to the fire when you have 2 all-time lists come out in the past 6 months. And Drew Brees, who holds damn near every record for quarterbacks, isn't included in either one. Now, in fairness, the Saints had a couple of players who made the all-decade team. Cam Jordan, offensive guard, Jerry Evans, but it just doesn't seem right that Drew Brees is not on the list. All right, that's all for today. I will be back either Thursday or Friday. Make sure to click that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all updates from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think about the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Have a good week. Try not to get bored out of your mind being at home, and I will see you on Thursday or Friday.